I realized, dude, and this is why I was excited to sit down. I realized that I think speakeasy could be something very real. I think it could be very useful. And I think that I'm just sick of playing for the short term, short term, short term. Even caddying, it's a short term fix. It's just a quick cash flow move.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I need to play for a longer game. So like in 3 to 5 months, I'm finally catching a little bit of. At least I can look back and say I have the effort put in and the time and the product, and like I just can't do the short term stuff anymore. It's just like, how long do you want to go on this merry-go-round? It's like I just don't want to do it. So it's time to put in the effort with this, and that's what's going to be the focus when I'm not at work.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're live here with Jeff. We are starting from scratch basically. We want to give Jeff a online source of income in the form of a digital product where, he'll be able to have that income no matter where he goes. Um, Something I have several years of experience with. I started an online product in late 2016, and between 2017 to 2022, up until today, it allowed me to travel and yeah, I go to a lot of cool places all around the world, learn how to surf, have a source of passive income, and then I ended up selling the business a couple months ago, and I'm just kind of seeing if I can repeat the process with myself with the new website, and I'm also helping a select few others. Jeff is one of the first people that's working with me, and yeah, so I think we're just gonna start by talking about like what we first, because we've done a few phone calls, like we've known each other for some time, and but what was the so we were thinking about like what is something that Jeff can start with, like what's something he has that he can offer to the world, because I believe like everyone has something in them that they can give to the world that's valuable that other people pay for. And Jeff, yeah, do you want to talk about like what we kind of ended up upon like starting with?
Yeah. So um, there were a couple ideas we went through, but the biggest one that checked the box for me of like something I'm passionate about, something that I have a little bit of raw skill at that needs to be developed, but at least there's like the raw talent there. And something that I believe, more importantly than either of those two, is the biggest problem to solve, because that's really what ultimately you want to sell, is something that people are, they have a problem and you have a solution. And that for me is public speaking. A lot of people are really afraid to public speak. A lot of people don't know how to public speak, and it's not taught in school. It's not taught, anywhere really, unless you go out of your way to take a class or something at a, Carnegie class or Toastmasters or something. Um, and what sparked the idea really was I have to make a best man speech in October. And I was putting together this speech, and I had been to a couple weddings this summer, 3 or 4. And, everybody had always talked about just how scared they were to make a speech as a bridesmaid or a maid of honor or a best man. And this was an idea that we had talked about for a while, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but it never really had any legs or any like potential. It was just an idea like, hey, I think there could be something people pay for and it could help people. But now it's like the time, and I think it really opened my eyes going to these weddings and talking to people who are making these speeches. Like they're so nervous, they're so this, they're so that, and so yeah, I think this could be a really good thing. And I've always wanted to have some sort of online presence with a product. That's something I've always wanted to have as an online source of income. It just provides so much freedom, and we all have our own reasons why we would want to have something that's a little bit more passive, not completely passive. I don't really know if that exists. I think that's kind of a pipe dream, like, oh yeah, passive income where you don't have to do anything ever and you're just sitting there collecting. That's called a trust fund. Like that's not a passive product, but something that you add value to the world with, something that you like to do, and that's what I want to do. That's something that it would be fun for me to do. So that's what we're gonna go with.
Cool. So we have the solution to a big problem that is kind of starting off with scratching your own itch in a way. I mean, I know you said, Jeff, that you're like comfortable with public speaking, but like you're hearing other people who have been, preparing for speeches, and then you yourself are about to do this, and you know that this is a real problem, and there aren't a lot of, or there could be better solutions out there, like a productized solution. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is a big problem that is something that you have direct experience with, and that you have some sort of a competitive advantage with, because like, I guess, yeah, Jeff, you've also given speeches in the past, is that correct? Like, do you want to talk
Yeah,
about that?
I have probably less than 30 hours, but more than 12 hours of public speaking, paid for public speaking, which was really cool. A couple of them were free engagements that I gave at my old high school. And I was just like knocking on doors, like, hey, I'd like to talk to your junior class or senior class about whatever it was. It was like finance and kind of lifestyle design stuff that you and
Hmm.
I have really connected on. So that was cool. And then I spoke for 3 or 4 times at AXA Advisors, which was a client of ours for how to use social media marketing, which was pretty cool. So like teaching guys who maybe didn't grow up with Facebook and Instagram, maybe they're in their little bit later in life who are still making money, feeding their family, teaching them how to use the internet. That was something that I had a chance to speak on, which was cool. So yeah, I have some, like I said, some raw. I've given 1 or 2 best man speeches in my day. I think 2 now. A third will be on in October. So it's something that I think I have enough. Most people have zero. Most people have zero experience public speaking, like at all. They don't even like making a toast at like a Christmas dinner with their family who they see every single day. So I think this could be something that kind of experience, that's one of the biggest things that I'm excited about, is once people give themselves a chance to public speak for more than 3 to 5 hours with practice, or like going to events where people are going to listen to them, they're going to realize it's just talking, and it's just going to be so easy. It's just the initial thing. It's like anything right off the beginning. It's like you're going to make yourself vulnerable. You're going to go up there. People are, you're going to accept judgment. You're going to, whatever. But it's not about you is our biggest thing with Speakeasy. It's not about you. It's about adding value to the people listening to you. Because as soon as you can't be stressed about what people think about you and helping others at the same time. You're either worried about what people think about you, or you're worried about helping others. So if you flip that, the whole game changes, the whole paradigm changes. Then it's just talking. You know what I mean? If your family or friend was in need and you needed to explain to a cop or a group of cops or detectives what was going on, you would say it seamlessly.
Hmm.
But if you had to write a speech in front of 20 people or the same amount of people, that you would freak out because you're like, oh, what are they? I hope I sound good. I hope I look good. I hope I say the right things. Like, so it's just a quick shift, and I'm excited to work with people who wanna. It's a dangerous tool to have in your toolbox. I'll tell you that. It's very, very valuable, more than you could ever imagine. Somebody who's articulated and has the confidence to speak publicly is very, very valuable to any corporation or really any situation. Being able to influence, that's everything. That's where it comes from. So the ability to communicate your ideas in a way that is digestive for the listener, right? You say it in a way that is easy for them to understand and relate to. So it's exciting stuff for me. I really like this kind of approach. So
Cool. Yeah. So I think we have a good start of like what you can offer your audience in terms of like free advice and free content, because that's, so basically, like, to break down the structure that I did for my business. I had a paid ebook, which is like everything organized in one place. Like, this is your one stop resource for like this thing. Like, my thing was about sneaker reselling, so I like made this full guide that included absolutely everything. And then outside of that paid resource, I had a bunch of different free articles or free snippets that kind of gave people help. And that little clip, or that, the snippet of you talking about, the mindset shift, like that could be a very valuable piece of free advice that can go out there. People can view it, and like they can learn more about you, start to follow you. And then when you have the paid resource, like they'll they'll want to pay for that once they have seen like a lot of your free content and become somewhat of a fan of yours. So that's kind of the plan, is to start with really just putting yourself out there and giving away free content on any platform. Now, this can be on like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or it could be like a written blog. So, in order to like start to attract your platform, you have to pick some sort of, in order to attract your audience, you have to pick some sort of platform. So, have you
Right.
thought about like what kind of platform or what kind of medium that you want to share this sort of advice?
Yeah, I think TikTok would be good for this because I think that there's a lot. I think it's really blowing up, and I think there's the age range that I'm looking for is on there. It's young people, like Gen Zs or whatever they're called now, and it's also people like myself who are in their later 20s who are like, okay, well, what's this thing that's cooler than Instagram these days? I think YouTube could be good also. Um, Instagram. I think those are three basics that I think everyone should have. Is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Um, it's just been a matter of um, figuring out what you want to say on these for this free content. You know what I mean? Like, what value can you add? What can you talk about? How can you attract the right kind of audience? Um, and but yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking is like TikTok to start for sure, and then everything you see on TikTok you'll probably see on Instagram as well, and then a YouTube page of like maybe that'll be a little bit down the road. Maybe that'll be in 2 months or so or something. We'll get a start with this. Um, Things that could be useful for people who want to get better at communicating in general. Not just and I wanted to ask you this. So like niche is key, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, Something that crossed my mind was doing like the wedding speech guide, like just wedding speeches, because that's its own market, and I can guarantee that there are people who have said yes to being a maid of honor or a best man, who immediately are like, I am so scared about this speech. Like, I'm gonna have to get drunk for it. I'm gonna have to, whatever they're gonna have to do at the wedding to get comfortable. Um, that was something I thought about and just come up with a very specific formula for writing a good wedding speech, because it's more niche than just general public speaking. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a really good idea. So, what you have to do is you have to run with the idea and test it. So, pick like, just make topics of, and so content creation should be as simple as like talking to a friend, like kind of like how you just did a quick explanation to me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
with TikTok, TikTok is actually starting to favor longer content. So, um, what I would do in your case is just have 10 different topics, 10 different video topics, like 1 to 3 minutes, where you're just talking about a specific topic, and then put each of those videos out like once daily, um, or twice a day some days. Like, do it over the course of a week, 2 weeks, depending on how fast you want to move. And then just look at the reception of each topic and make each one kind of different. And whichever one has the most traction, you run with it. So like you start with the wedding thing, and like one video won't be enough to tell whether or not it's a good idea. So you're gonna need like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like 10. So if you're getting enough traction after 10 videos, or one of your topics like really hit, like all of the topics are subtopics of being a wedding
Mm-hmm.
speaker or the speaker at a wedding. But I really think that's a big enough, it's a big enough niche, because people are photographers, right? And they're DJs or videographers, and they're just wedding DJs or wedding photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's also like something that's high stakes enough that people are willing to pay for advice. They're hungry for advice. That's something I learned from Alex Hormozy, like watching his stuff. Like, you want to sell to a hungry audience. Like, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like people who are about to attend a wedding, like a once in a lifetime event for the people. Well, I mean, should be.
Hopefully,
I mean, it's for the people getting married. It's a
hopefully it's a
very,
one.
yeah,
It's the only time.
it's a, well, it's the only time those two people are getting married.
We
So,
hope. We hope.
yeah, we hope. And, yeah, so that's super high stakes. You want to nail it. It's got to be perfect.
Right.
And people are out there, they're hungry for a solution. And like you said, the vast majority of people, like probably 99 out of 100, are uncomfortable with that call to duty. They're like, oh shit, how do I get better at this? And
Hmm.
TikTok is a great way to personally connect with the audience. So yeah, that would be like the first, because that's even before you write the ebook or whatever your paid offer is. Because you could also do like one-on-one coaching too. But even before you figure out what the paid offer is, you gotta test your market. And
Hmm.
I mean, my gut says like it's a good idea, and I think yours does as well. So yeah, the next step is just delivering and coming up with, yeah, just 10 videos and putting them out there.
So first step is 10 videos. Get it out there and just see how it does. So make an account because the steps are key for anybody. It's like everybody's got these ideas, but it's like, what are the steps I could take to make this real? And I remember you did like YouTube videos on just like basic shit on how to flip shoes, the Yeezys, the Concords, whatever you were doing. And then you got traction off that. And then that provided your audience that ultimately, I'm assuming, ended up buying the majority of your product, or at least they started the fire. Um,
Exactly.
so okay, um, yeah, that's big. I've been working on the content as well. I have thought a little bit about what I would do as a paid offer. I'd like to do like a masterclass format of 10 to 12 videos, taking somebody through like not only the X's and O's of public speaking, like if you wanted to put together a speech, like intro, joke, this, that, close, done type of thing. But also, the bigger value, in my opinion, will be the mindset shift that I mentioned earlier, which was like stop worrying about how you look and start worrying about how you can add value to the people listening to you. That's really where it starts and stops because everybody's a good public speaker if they just got out of their own way. So I'm excited to have that worked into like a video format, and maybe there's an ebook that you could buy with that, and it correlates. Maybe it's, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But first things first, we'll get I'll make videos. That'll be big on TikTok. So at least I have something to go off, and it'll get me talking about it too to help organize stuff because sometimes if you're good at something, it's tough to like break it down and figure out what you did. And I'm not saying I'm great yet, but I'm certainly comfortable. Um, could always learn, could always improve, obviously. But um, it's funny. This whole thought actually started because my first best man speech I ever gave at my cousin's wedding did not go well. It was not good. It was
Mm.
very like I didn't think it went well. Some people are like, oh yeah, it was fine. I'm like, shut up, bro. Like you wouldn't tell me if I had something in my teeth. So I can't trust you to tell me if my speech was good. Like those types of people.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, that'll be the last time I ever go into that almost winging it. Like it was not planned out. I was so worried about what I thought or how I looked and what I was going to say and all this stuff. So I'm excited to like get this message out to people to maybe relieve a little bit of their stress on the whole, just at large, speaking at large. It's like, yeah, you gotta zoom out a little bit and take a different approach. So that'll be good. So the
Yeah, man.
checklist is 10 videos on TikTok and see what comes from that.
Yeah,
So
weaker
for
less and have no expectations. And also, side note, like that story that you just said about your why, like you should definitely talk to the audience about that. Like,
that'll be a video for
yeah,
sure.
it's a video
That
as
might be the
well.
first one,
That
like
could
where
easily
where
be
it
the first
started
video.
from.
Yeah, and also the thing with TikTok is, um, don't be attached to any outcomes. Like even though like so my website ended up blowing up and becoming really popular online, but like I didn't really have expectations at the beginning. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna put stuff out there and I hope people like it. And
Mm-hmm.
same with the YouTube videos. I didn't really have expectations because a lot of people with TikTok, like I've started like three different TikToks now, and
Mm-hmm.
um, the beginning's slow and it can be discouraging. You're like, I need like 10 followers or whatever. Like
Right.
I'm not getting likes, I'm not getting views, or like it's up and down. Like sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. So it's just a matter of like being consistent and don't push it too hard that you'll like burn out, but just make it like kind of on the side. Like it actually is good that you have another job just to kind of pay the bills
Yeah.
because you don't want to put everything on this. Like you don't want to be like, I need this to make money like right
Right.
now.
Right.
Like it's good you have the bartending gig to pay the bills or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can also whenever the circumstance calls for it, like with friends or maybe like people that are around, like maybe even people you're like bar patrons, so you could like just kind of say like just drop the idea like real casually, like listen, like I think I'm gonna help people with like wedding speeches. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like people are gonna be nice. They're gonna give um, generally like positive feedback because it's just a pleasant thing to do. But like you'll be able to tell when like they're being totally honest and they're like, oh shit, that's really good. Like you
Mm-hmm.
might receive like overwhelmingly positive feedback and you might get some tips, you might get some personal stories, like, and you don't have to go out there like being like a advocate, like preaching everywhere about
Right.
it, but like
Right.
just like from time to time, like when it feels right, like you could just kind of talk about what you're working on and see what people think about it because that's what I was doing with my shoe business, and as it grew it started to attract a bit of a team. You're going to be a one-man show in the beginning, but eventually, like if you get big enough, you could have a bit of a team, or at least like it helps to have some motivators, and that'll also come when your audience starts to come because it will come. Like people want a solution, and it's just a matter of putting yourself out there to the world and letting them see it.
Yeah. It's got to go out there. So, um, to get some feedback, that's big. And the people I've talked to about it, like, I mean, obviously they're being nice, but they're like, can you just tell me when I could sign up? Because I've always wanted to be able to speak and be better at public speaking. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's nice to know. Because yeah, I feel like a lot of people, and like the other thing that gets me is like a Dale Carnegie class is like 4 grand to do like a month or 2 months or something crazy. It's ridiculous money, dude, like crazy bread. And I'm like, I'm gonna charge like $33 for my shit. Like, get online and sit down with yourself and print out this printable thing and watch the video, and then you could write along with it, and then you could learn. And then if you want to work further, we work further. Maybe that's more pricey, but I think that's one of the other biggest opportunities is the barrier to entry is going to be much more attainable. So, you know, it's quite a commitment to get into something like that. I wanted to do a Dale Carnegie class. I remember for like 3 or 4 years, I was like, I really want to get better at storytelling. I want to get better at all these things. And I went to a couple free ones and I was like, this is sweet. Like, I love this. And then they hand out the pamphlet afterwards for what the real classes cost. And I'm like, who's got an extra 5 grand to do this? Like, I guess businesses pay for it, but I want something that the everyday person could just be like, yeah, I'm going to become a better communicator and I'm going to start thinking more about what I say, how I say, things like that. So, but this will be good, man. We'll start with 10 videos. We'll get that going. And then from there, we could continue to roll. But it's important to know what's first because everybody's got these ideas, but then it's like, what do you do with it? What's your first step to prove to yourself that you're about this? Because that's what people, I think, they don't realize. It's like you determine if you're about something or not by just taking action on it. It's not about talking about it or spending money on something. It's about obviously showing that you have physical proof that you're about it and you did it, and that to me is everything. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll make it happen, and from there we'll kind of go as it goes. And I'm gonna continue to work on content because I do have kind of a vision for the final product and kind of how I'd like that to look and what I'd like that to be, or just an idea at least, you know. So, and it's going to be some sort of video format would be really cool to me. I love Masterclass. Just that whole website, I think, is the most valuable content in the entire world. Is if you spend $180 up front and just get the 12 months of Masterclass, it's just so valuable, and they do it so well. But it's really the format that makes it digestible. It's like you could listen to someone talk who you don't usually get to hear talk in the right setting about the right stuff. It's not an interview. It's not a school session. It's truly them telling you stories and relating it and making it, digestible. So that's something I'd like to emulate, and I'll continue to work on that. So those are my 2 pieces of homework. Work on more content for the potential videos or different chapters, right? And then come up with videos on TikTok about really anything that I could think of that would benefit someone speaking.
Cool.
That sound good?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Yeah, it's one step at a time, and just keeping it simple in the beginning, and having deliverables and a time frame. So yeah, like I said, a week to get 10 videos out there should be
No
doable.
problem. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
That'll be good. Well, yeah, I'm excited, man. So, yeah, we'll connect again in a week, and we'll go from there. I'm ready to make September the month. I mean, I'm in Pittsburgh right now we'll take it week by week. But we'll see how things go. But it'd be cool to have I know you birthed your online business idea here in PA. So who knows? Maybe it's the fertile ground for online entrepreneurs.
maybe, I guess, yeah, time will tell.
Time will tell. It's good stuff. All right, bro. Well, that's all I got. Is there anything else on your end you wanted to cover?
No, not really. Just want to keep it simple in the beginning because we got our we have the need, we have why you're an expert, and we have the action plan, like what route we're going to take for the free content to start building our initial audience. So I think we're
Cool.
good to go. It's a good first step.
Cool.